Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out to Abraham Muhammad, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvault, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Felix Hung, Fireball X, Godrockin, Jeranism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Life is Short, Matt, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Reinhardt, Renee, Sam Hine, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, theflatearthchannel.com, Tina Baker and Tom Herkins. Massive shout outs to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. I've got about 5 minutes before the live show starts, but we have got Righteous Force and I believe Flatzoid in G+. How are you both doing?
Doing all right. Good morning.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Good
Hello.
morning. I'm here as well.
Oh, hey, 10th Man with your black icon. Good to see you. Got a few people in Discord as well. I don't know if you've rummaged them off mute or not, Righteous Force. Not, I'll scramble to get them off mute. Hello, everyone in Discord.
Yep.
Yeah, you are all off mute. Excellent. About 5 minutes and we'll start the live show.
Back into population. Hey, Righteous.
What's up?
You know Zanuck is trying to change his argument about with the what do you call it? The straight horizontal line. He's trying to say plumb to the earth. You know, far as like spherical. He's already assuming, so he's trying to change his argument right now.
Was it him and
He'll be
Bev?
coming back. Say what?
I said it was Bev arguing with him, right?
Yeah, that's what he was. That's what he's bringing up now. Plumb to the earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but so what? Over curved on level still?
Back full of force.
Well, I don't think he's gonna get far.
I don't know.
Well, basically, what they're doing now is they're trying to change the definition of words. And I even seen a definition with that contradicted itself. Like it said what level was, and then it also made in relation to Earth being a sphere. So it just contradicted itself. Like it actually said level is straight line, and then it said level is also a curve. So that was a strange definition.
Right.
You guys put up with so much nonsense over there with Zanuck. Everybody knows what level means, and everybody knows it's not curve. These word salad games that Zanuck plays is a joke.
Yeah, but we don't understand.
Yeah, it's just every argument he has is either you redefine something or you beg the question. He's trying to prove Coriolis by proving no deviation. Right there, pack your bags, go somewhere else. Too much brain damage here, Zanuck. Don't bring these stupid arguments that cannot be defended in a court of law or anywhere. Words mean things. And by the way, Flatzoid, I do understand.
I know. We all do. Them that doesn't. Okay.
No, do you realize in the old days, you liar and then you punch them in the face. That's what it was in the school grounds when I was a kid. Now, you give him an hour to discuss his lie.
Yeah. Probably more diplomatic today. I don't know.
Level is not curve. We even spent 45 minutes on it. Stupid.
Yep. I also get quite irritated these days. I mean, it's like you just want to sometimes just go and shake their head around and say, just wake up.
They're not going to wake up. We woke up.
Yeah, but I think the reason they don't want to give in is because then they have to realize, tell everybody they've been wrong all the time. So
Why did we wake up?
we don't care about our ego.
Because we know level's not curve.
Yeah, but we got humility. We can actually say when we know something's wrong. You know, we can actually admit it. They can't.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined in G+ by Righteous Force, Flatzoid, 10th Man and Chocolate Saint. Very good to have you all.
Good to be here.
Good morning.
Hola.
Also joined by Earth-shaped investigator Dougie and someone whose name's too small to read, Matthias as well. How you doing all in Discord?
Hello.
Red, how you doing, Red?
Hey, what's
Sorry.
up?
Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from Ohio.
That's laughable. That's not.
Northwest is flat, that flat.
Any signs of axial rotation?
No, not Earth base.
Nope. Definitely not Earth-based.
Any evidence of a molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
And how would they know that?
No, they teach it to children though.
You got to presuppose. You got to presuppose a ball Earth.
What about that presupposition then? Any evidence of the R value?
You got to presuppose a molten iron core.
Okay.
The Arvin here.
The R value needs a bit of sun, doesn't it? What about distance to the sun? Any evidence of that?
But it's just a beautiful light in the sky.
Also just presupposition.
No distance to the sun. Hey, Arwin.
Hello.
What scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
Nah.
First, you have to know what it actually is, and not just presuppose something based on no evidence.
Well, with the exception of molten iron core, all of those presuppositions have a base presupposition of gas pressure existing without a container. So immediately I'm going to do a shout out to Sleeping Warrior, who did a video yesterday, very good video, showing that they've got a new model by Mick West, showing the non-force that you can think of as a force of gravity brought forth by the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time. And apparently you can stick that non-force on a sliding scale, according to Mick West. So check out Sleeping Warrior's video, but any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container. And hello, QE and Paul.
Plasmoid.
Well, now that they have a gas calculator, right, that can show that, I guess that's proof.
No,
What?
not at all.
I've got something I want.
They made a gas pressure calculator?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa.
you haven't seen it?
What gas
Oh my
pressure
god, it's
calculator?
funny.
Go on, Earth-shaped
Well, I've got
investigator.
something I want to share, but I can't at the moment. So if you guys can put a bookmark in it, I'll come back in a second. When I get a chance.
We're going to be
I'll
here
share
for a
what
while.
I got about that.
We're dropping anchor, but go on, Earth-shaped investigator. What did you have to say?
Just curious that Chocolate said there was a gas calculator or something. Is that the simulation stuff Paul was showing, or do they have something else now?
Oh no, a little
No,
blue.
it's
blue.
even better.
Mick
They've
West.
got it's pretty much the same thing, except they've got it around the ball in a vacuum. That's the funny part about it.
Okay.
They applied R, did they?
Wait, hang
Hold
on.
on,
I can't do it.
Paul, you got it?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. So just put a bookmark right there. Move on. When I get a chance, I'll come back and we'll talk about it. I've been working with it.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's
What's
pretty funny.
Go on, Flatsoid.
It's amazing. What's putting visual to math instead of the math to the visual?
Yeah, just
We're,
go on,
so
Tentman.
we're in the year 2019, and they just found a gas calculator.
Is that what I should be presenting?
Let me give you-
Shout out. Sorry, second.
Yeah, let
Shout
me
out.
give you a
Hold on one
preview.
second.
I can't talk about it right at the second. Let me give you a preview.
Okay, I've got it up on
You can
screen.
share it if you want to.
Yes, I have done. So shout out to flatearthchannel.com for hitting the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much indeed.
Huh?
So can you see this, Arwen?
Wait.
Let's just make it a bit more clear for the audience.
That
Give me a
was
second.
that was the thing that Conspiracy Cats was screwing around with a few months ago, I remember.
Wait a minute. I see a blue circular object with white dots going everywhere and a sideboard with bunch of measurements. Looks like a model.
What are you saying, that by suggesting that this is what gas does when you slide a scale of gravity and not actual force? Well, not force that you can think of as a force that's not actually a force called gravity, bending of a space-time that's conceptual. Well, by asserting that this is reality, that would be by definition a reification fallacy? Is that what you're saying, 10th man?
Yeah, because on the MIT and the other big league schools that have that membrane and they pull it out and the gas fills the available volume, it does the opposite of this. So I'd like to see a real.
I can't unpack it right now, but I'll come back. Just I'll leave it, let it play. You guys can talk, but I've got more details to follow.
I don't know. What it's doing seems kind of what I would expect. And that is, the gas immediately expands into the entire space. And then with the presupposed gravity, if you're just going to take it like that, creates a slightly thicker air pressure next to the ball.
No, this picture.
They have a sliding scale with the gravity, so you can turn it on like full power, and you'll see all the gas like close to the ball, and then you could turn on like the temperature, make it more particles, make it hotter, so that the particles are moving around faster. It's pretty funny. Sleeping Warrior made a video on this yesterday and destroyed it. It's just silly.
Look,
I've just
look,
noticed
this is
Very, very weak force anyway, so it wouldn't be able to do anything.
gravity's not a force. So what I'd be interested to put to the designer of this model is that, given that it's claiming to be a model of three-dimensional space, why is it that when any of these dots hit each other on the two-dimensional plane that is the representation we see on our screen, why do they always bounce off each other? Is that how three-dimensional space works?
Presumably so.
No. You're not on the
You
same
know this
axis
was made
in
by
three.
Nick West, right?
Unless you're on the same axis in all three directions, you're not going to hit. Not that this is preposterous to assert that the things that are bouncing back towards Earth are bouncing off other gas particles in this expanding, increasing, vast vacuum, and then bouncing back towards Earth.
Well, first of all, Nathan.
But it
first
is.
of all-
Is it an endless vacuum? Is that even what the model's supposed to be representing?
No, it's very confined within
Exactly.
within the space of this frame of this model. You don't see what's beyond it. Well, in order to have this gas pressure in the first instance, you'd need a container. So what's beyond the model? Well, they don't show you that, of course.
Right. If you were to make one of those white dots that represent the gas molecule the size of Earth, just one of those little white dots, and the rest of it being black, meaning the vacuum of space, it'd be a better depiction of what's really out there. And
Yeah,
this
I totally
would never
agree.
happen.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You know this is called the Metabunk Universe Gas Simulator, right? So this is a Mick West production right here.
Yeah, I got a certificate for a master's degree at Metabunk University. Oh,
Well, I mean, he gave us the wonderful curve calculator, right? The
this is
perspective
a model.
Oh, is this Mick Westian 2 space?
Yeah, this is Metabunk. Metabunk
This is-
Universe Gas Simulator.
This
I
is
call
what
it a
Globers
calculator.
need.
It's
This
not
is what
4
Globers
space. It's
need.
rather 2 space. So it's like Mick Westian 2 space.
Correct, Darwin. Can you show me the other two axes, please, Paul? Can you show me the depth and the space-time axes, please? Can you make them visually represented in this model?
I'll have to get back with you in a second.
No worries. Yes, I'd like to
Well,
see
this
some.
is more.
Just one
this
more.
is
Just want
more
to
like
reiterate
what
that.
the-
Hold on. Just want to reiterate that, 10th man. Yes, I'd like to see the space-time and how it's bent.
I
Seems
think
like
they
the
only, I think
Globers.
they only call it gravity. I don't think there's a
No, it's
space-time function.
No, it's part of the no. It's part of the geometry. Length, breadth, depth, and time. So if that's part of pseudo-Ramonian 4 space, not 2 space like represented here, 4 space, I want to see those specifically, but not limited to, the space-time. I'd like to see that. Then I'd like to see it in the model being bent. Then I'd like to see that related to our reality. It doesn't, it's a concept. Just want to get that clear. It's a concept. You're never going to do that. You're never going to show me bending space-time. That's not going to happen. You're not going to present it in this model either. Beyond a scale with G written next to it. That pulls gas in 2 dimensions back towards this blue dot. Without showing any of the parameters of the vast, infinitely expanding vacuum. Now, given that this is supposed to be a, space model, I'd like to see a bit more of space with this blue dot. Yeah? In this 2D model. That doesn't represent depth or space-time. In the pseudo-Ramonian 4 space that it's claiming to demonstrate. It's just a hodgepodge pile of crap. Made by a moron called Mick West. Do you not understand the other 2 axes?
It's
Mick West.
incomplete as well.
I'm finished.
Guys not realized it's like they're just putting a container and making it smaller. Oh, so they're just putting the area smaller. It's not doing anything about gravity. It's making the area smaller.
Right. So it's not actually demonstrating what their claim is. It's just
No,
an
they're
estimation,
just-
just like the curvature calculator.
Listen, don't
Yeah,
argue
they're-
don't argue within the fallacy here. This is a model. This isn't real. They can't demonstrate this in reality. Why are we even arguing about this cartoon? It's like the molten
Because
iron.
it is presupposed to be doing that.
That's why I'm laughing at it, because it's a model.
That's his point. That's his point, Arwin. Well said, 10th man. Yeah. Why the hell are we arguing about this? What is this nonsense? This is a model. So what? However.
I will say. I
go
will
on,
say
I've cut you
this,
off enough.
Nathan.
Go on, sorry, 10th man. I've cut you off enough. I'm
No,
really
it's
sorry.
okay. I'm sorry. I will say this. They can't show this in reality.
Models trigger 10th man.
Yeah, they do. It's the smell of the glue. It's that heliocentric glue, that smell.
Yep. That's stench.
Wasn't there a song? Ooh, that
No.
smell.
So I've got a question.
It's the smell of pseudo space.
So I've got a question. So what is NASA doing with the 50 plus million a day if, some guy running Metabunk can contribute in such fashion with, a lot more information than what they've given us? Quote unquote information.
Purchasing helium.
Producing movies.
Yeah, but NASA's documents all show flat anyway, so.
You've got to understand where NASA actually sit in the big scheme of things. They are absolutely on the cutting edge of cinematography.
I can actually talk now if you guys are ready.
Yeah, I've still got you presented, Paul. Go ahead.
Well, actually, hang on a second. I'm sorry. Hang on just a second.
Hey, Nathan, you're right. They're on the cutting edge because they're on the cutting room floor of the film lab.
Yeah, they're leading the way in terms of production and cinematography. That's what they do. They produce movies.
And that's the real scam, isn't it? They make it look so terrible so that your mind sort of tricks you into believing it's real. It's like, when there was that movement of all that like hidden footage or shaky cam footage like Blair Witch Project, it sort of like brought something more realistic because it was non-cinematic. So that's the same thing NASA is doing to this day, the shaky cam video rubbish style things instead of proper graphics or whatever.
Sort of.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm back now. Sorry.
Go on, Paul.
This time I think I'm back. My wife was trying to get my wife out the door.
No worries. I would like, just before you go on, Paul, hold on. Just want to round out that with Earth-Shaped Investigator. I would like to talk about that further, though, because there is an extra layer that precedes what you described. So go ahead, Paul. We'll come back to this.
The biggest part about this is very deceptive. It looks, this is when you first pull the Metabunk up. I know.
It's real.
This is what it looks like when you...
Guys, just let him get through his stuff and then add comment at the end. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay. It's very deceptive. Like, if you look at the speed of the particle, or starting speed of the particles, it's only 2. Okay, I don't know. I have no idea what that 2 means. How many miles per hour, if it's meters per second, I have no clue. It's just a 2. That's first problem. Second problem, look how big the particles are. They're massive. They're pretty good size. So all you got to do is if you change the setting, I was trying to do that while we were watching, but the starting speed, if you change the starting speed to like really fast, and then you hit even scatter Atmo, which is this second line under, watch what happens. You see that? And obviously it's not to scale, which they get onto us about scale all the time, right? So they're showing us these large particles around this small diameter circle. Well, you can change the radius of the planet, so to speak, and you can also change the radius of the particle. So you can try to play with this to get at what you might think it could be, which we obviously have no idea. But even if I do a smaller scale, look what happens. And even if I do this with a smaller scale, you still see the same effect occurring. And there's actually a particle count or particles near count. If you watch it, it's reducing. See that particle count? Particles near.
Particle count.
It's reducing.
When you say particle count,
what's that?
Is that obviously you've got in this model that it's representing a never-ending infinite vacuum. So is there a scale for the volume that this gas is in? I mean, can we apply Boyle's law, for instance? So there's no application of Boyle's law here with volume?
Nope.
Why not?
And I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't make the simulator. But if you watch, even the particles that are far away, the temperature is increasing, which is also going to increase the kinetic energy. You see that on the temperature. I can even put, this will slow my system down, but I could put 20,000 particles and do the same thing. Obviously, my system's running slow because it has to process all that, but the same effect still occurs. It just takes a minute. You'll see it. Just watch the count or the particles near count. They'll increase, but then they'll start reducing. Of course, my system can't handle that much.
It's not an infinite vac. Hold on. It's not an infinite vacuum.
Go ahead.
They have a number inside their fairy tale paradigm. It's 3.58 times 10 to the 80th cubic meters.
Okay, well, by that
What do you
standard,
see
they
that
have
at?
Oh, hold on. I'm not going to let that slide. So, by that standard, they have a volume for the atmosphere also. They've got a number for that, haven't they?
I doubt it.
I just wanted this to make... I'm glad you've brought it up. I'm not attacking you. So, it's an arbitrary number, though, isn't it? Because their claim is that the vacuum of the sky is ever expanding. Correct?
Expanding into what?
Yeah, I don't. This isn't my bloody story. That's not what I'm trying to argue. They claim it's ever increasing in size. Yeah, to the point where they also claim part of their I don't know who's making all that racket, but can you pop yourself on mute? They also claim that it's expanding to the point where eventually it will run out of energy. So entropy will reach a conclusion, and they'll have something that they theorize in quotes or brackets, whatever. That there'll be the reverse happen eventually. The big crunch is something that they hypothesize. Yeah. So based on the fact that it's expanding.
No, not the big crunch. No.
The big crunch is the reverse when it reaches the end and then start. That's just something that they theorize based on the fact that it's infinitely expanding. The vacuum, that is. Correct?
But it's still up for interpretation.
No, just take the big crunch out of it.
I'm just using the big crunch to say that there is ancillary parts of the narrative that's established that they can theorize around. So based on the fact that it's expanding, they also theorize that eventually it will be decreasing, crunching back in on itself because it's currently expanding. So yeah, I'll take out the big crunch because it's theory on top of bullshit. But my point is that their story is an expanding vacuum. I know they can attribute a number to it in the same way they can say that at the Kármán line we have this amount of volume. But that's not an actual container to have volume. And the same applies to the ever-expanding vacuum of the sky in their rhetoric.
It's up for debate, Nathan.
Debate? It's total nonsense. I'm not in the slightest bit suggesting this needs debating. They're nonsense. We're just squaring the nonsense. It's not up for debate. You're joking.
No, I don't mean in context with flat Earth, of course. I'm saying that in the body of science that hands out the decisions and all that on how it's supposed to be, this subject is still contested. Yes, there is this supposed evidence of the background radiation that suggests this, but that doesn't mean that it's just set in stone.
The background radiation doesn't suggest that. The background, what is the background radiation? Hold on.
I know it's not proof, but they are using it as proof. And
what does the background radiation suggest?
The space of the universe, reflection of supposed Big Bang and blah, blah, blah.
Gives you 16.9 billion or whatever. It gives you the time, how far back you can see.
You know what? Right after spectroscopy, I'm going to run that CMB presentation. So
all I'm saying, I'm not trying to give the whole concept any legitimacy. I'm just saying that they're still not completely set.
What you're saying is they're still debating. They're still debating themselves.
Neither were we, Arwin. Neither were we.
Wow.
You're moaning, Arwin. Me and John still haven't yet to conclude this point. So I've segued away for a reason. But I'm not maybe going to get to make that reason. We'll clear to the audience. We'll see. But yeah, you go ahead, Arwin. Lest we interrupt you.
I'd like to make some more comments, by the way.
Okay, let Arwin round out. Then I want to round out. Then presumably John, who has started this point, wants to round out. Then we'll get back to you, Paul. Go on, Arwin.
Okay, I thought that my point did come across. I'm just saying the people basically claiming the body of science, claiming the apparent authority in the whole religious system, they're not entirely set yet on how it's supposed to be.
Agreed.
It's still up for intellectual debate among their circles.
Agreed. And John can immediately debunk the assertion made by their side that we're just trying to square in terms of what it's expanding into. Right, John? What's it expanding into? That statement debunks the whole notion. But their rhetoric is still set in stone. It's an expanding vacuum. Yes, they can arbitrarily assign a volume to their bullshit sky vacuum. And that's what John's saying. That would be the volume that we'd need to require in order to calculate things like Boyle's law, Well, yeah, but Boyle's law's still got a containerless, a container where they have a containerless vacuum. You know, so it's still a massive paradox.
I still want to know what science there.
Anyway, the point is that what Paul has presented, in order to calculate things like Boyle's law, you'd need a volume. The amount of space that the gas can fill. Now, does it give you this? No. Does it let you slide the scale? No. Does it show you anything beyond the perimeters of this frame? No. But we seem to have little dots coming back in from outside the frame. So I'd like to know how that's happening. Oh, what's that, you say? A non-force force that we can think of as a force called gravity, brought forth by the bending of a conceptual medium called space-time that is in absolutely no way represented in this model, that fourth dimension, that length, breadth, depth and time that's not shown here. What a crock of crap.
Westian 2 space.
Yeah, Westian 2 space. Westian 2 space.
I called it.
You did, Darwin. You can have that. It's all yours. Go ahead, Paul.
But we should call it pseudo McWestian 2 space.
Yep.
Pseudo Westian 2
I love that.
space.
Pseudo McWestian 2 space. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, first of all, I got somebody, Albert Einstein in Discord is telling me I've got the scale all wrong, which, okay, I knew that would come up eventually. But I don't know if you noticed here, I actually cranked the gravity up on this little sphere of ours. And watch what happens when I put the standard model of the atmosphere into this so-called model. When you increase the gravity.
Gravity up. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Gravity.
I know. Yeah. See right here on this, it says planet G. And then now the guy's saying my temperature's messed up on this. The temperature's increasing because the kinetic energy is increasing, causing the temperature to rise. So anyway, this guy's on Albert Einstein on Discord, private messaging me in the background.
Yeah, Paul, you got the scale wrong on your reification fallacy.
I know.
Shout out to Awaken Narrative. Can any glober in the chat show us east-west curvature? Thanks for the super chat, Awaken Narrative. Really appreciate your support.
We're going on 20 minutes discussing a man-made model that does not resemble any scientific method or reality. Begging the question, talking in fallacy, let's cut their legs off.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to make fun of it a little bit. They literally have the second law of thermodynamics violation in a simulator.
Well, I'm with you, Chocolate. Let's make fun of it. I don't mind making fun of it, but we haven't been doing that quite yet.
They have a gravity lever.
That's what I.
This is what I'm saying. Like, come on, this is jokes.
Well,
we can finally manipulate gravity, guys. Come on, look. I can manipulate gravity. We just found it.
So, am I going to see Foghorn Leghorn with a lever adjusting gravity here next?
Not represented.
This could be a beta for MixOS new video game or something. He was a video game designer.
Well, if there's any other game designers out there that would need to utilise pseudo McWestian 2 space, then he's your man. You know where to find him.
Yeah, but don't video gamers anywhere use a flat plane for all their games?
Okay, have we had enough of this?
Now they got Coriolis calculators in their phone apps.
Coriolis calculators, eh? Before the show, I spoke to Sleeping Warrior, and he said, make sure you shout out my video regarding McWest's bullshit pseudo McWestian 2 space model. And I said, yeah, no worries. He says, whatever you do, don't let it segue onto Coriolis. I was like, I'll do my best.
What Coriolis? You need a Earth spin first.
So where can we see this model that McWest has presented actualized then? Can we see a demonstration of it somewhere? Or is it just in his computer world? I'll take that as it's just in the computer world of pseudo McWestian 2 space.
Well, maybe there's a glober here that can point to us where we can find this happening.
I'd like to
So
see
it'll be
the.
just like go outside and there you go.
Just show us
That's the
space time.
point.
That's what that. We just need to see space time, and then once we've seen it, show us how it gets bent. FYI, space time is a concept. You can't bend concepts.
More like get stuffed.
Did you say get stuffed?
Where's Adam?
I was just
Yep.
about to say. Shout out
That's
to
what I
Iron
was
Realm
waiting for,
Media.
John.
The Adam Meakin of Iron Realm Media. Hopefully he'll be on Ball Blisters this Saturday. Shout out to Quantum Eraser channel, home of Ball Blisters Live. So be here or be sphere Saturday.
Saturday at 1 p.m. U.S. Central, 7 p.m. UK. And today's show at 1 p.m. U.S. Central, 7 p.m. UK. Paula, Bible Literalist, Christianity, Lesson 1.
Cool.
Be there, be sphere.
So be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser channel, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. UK time. Quantum Eraser channel. Be here or be sphere. That guy yesterday, what's he called? You'd know, Chocolate.
AI Overlord.
AI Overlord. Wasn't he glorious?
Yeah, he's pretty cool, man. He's one of the mods on 24/7 Flat Earth Discord 2.0, and he's been on here before. I don't know if you saw my message to you yesterday, but he's been on here. His name was like Theo Gwerdy, something like that.
No, I
Came on
recognise.
for a couple of days.
I definitely recognise him. I recognise his voice, but he's never been until yesterday in a position where he's like full on asserting his dominance in the subject matter he's obviously very well versed in, and he just did exactly that. It was really really glorious to behold, and I was just sat back going, "Wow, this is an excellent conversation."
Yeah, no, I was a little pissed off because I was like, and I stayed in the other room with Rumpus and Arwen. I was like, what the hell?
Rumpus.
That was great.
The second law doesn't apply to Earth. I never said that.
I would never say that. I would never say that.
He wouldn't even agree to the scientific method.
I would never say that. I would never say such a thing.
But you know what? That's one of the latest talking points. I've been hearing that a lot. I've seen it in chats. I've heard it once or twice on Discord and various places. So this is a new talking point that apparently they are starting to believe that the second law of thermodynamics only applies to an isolated system.
Natural law doesn't apply to Earth.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's what they're reduced to. Yeah, I've heard it too. It's friggin' belly lapper.
So I just want to break that down. There might be people who don't appreciate it, so let's dumb that right down. If a natural law did not apply to Earth, what's that you say? Natural, nature, Earth, then it would not be a law. In that gap, I was expecting a fundy from Discord to say, "What about the law of gravitation?" But it didn't come.
All I was thinking is, I mean, how can you say it's not natural if you observe it?
Can you say that again? I didn't hear him.
I didn't quite make it either. I mean, you got to observe it, I believe. As in, if it's a law of nature and applies always, then shouldn't you actually be able to see it doing its thing?
Yeah.
What about gravity? Does that apply?
Does gravity apply?
Yeah, do we see
apply
it?
To what?
Can we experience it? If it's going to be asserted as a 100-year-old out-of-date law, in quotes, shouldn't we actually be able to observe it or see it?
It's not a law. Helium balloons pummel it.
Thank you.
Besides, we don't go by that. We go by bendy space-time. Get your story right, baltards. Jeez.
Don't
Yeah,
forget
we
the
had,
continuum transfunctioner.
They're just parroting the wrong pseudoscience. That's all.
Yeah, they need to get their story straight. Square that circle. Once we've got them, it'll take time. But once we've got them off the old 100-year-old heroin, then we'll get them onto their new crack, and then we'll wean them off that. It's a 3-stage process. So you need to get onto the right bullshit first, which is Einsteinian bullshit. Then we can pummel that. So all of those stuck in the dusty old 100-year-old force of gravity age, you just need to come off that crack.
You mean the Reverend John Michelle Cavendish gateway drug?
That's the one. Transitional drug.
Somebody just said continuum time functioner. Who was that?
Matthias.
Continuum transfunctioner.
What is that?
It's how you tell the bendy of space-time.
No, it's the result of the Illudium Q36 space modulator.
No, it's a resistor in the flux capacitor's circuitry.
Hey, Albert Einstein here. I don't know if you can see my screen. Tells me I've got this all wrong. Why don't he just come on in and share his pain with us, please?
I don't know why. They prefer to remain addicted. Now, we're here for you, fundies. We want you to share your pain. Tell us how long it's been since you last believed in the ball against all evidence. We're here to help you. Oh, he's actually called Albert Einstein. I like it.
Come off mute and share your pain.
So, anyway, it was an interesting show yesterday. Started off with George Netanyahu immediately joining the panel, claiming that we humanity have pictures of Earth from a second law of thermodynamics violations at 2 presupposed Earth diameters away.
That daft Muppet came on.
Yeah, apparently he was talking to Spurs, and Spurs was saying, well, if you claim all flat Earths haven't got any arguments and can't defeat you, let's go on Nathan's show. Within about 3 or 4 minutes, he was immediately talking over me and ignoring every point that I made. So I was like, hands up on the panel, who's got a picture of the presupposed sphere Earth from 2 presupposed Earth diameters away in a second law of thermodynamics violation? Hands up. I don't want to hear who hasn't got pictures. And what we hear next is George saying, well, I haven't personally got any pictures, but India's got pictures and Russia's got pictures and blah, 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 blah. On it went.
Pictures. I want to see a picture. I want the source file too.
Yeah, we didn't get into that either.
You mean with Mr. Closed Thermoses and Open System?
That's the one. And then you get Rumpus coming on, and within a few minutes, he's taking the lesser route in a slightly self-sacrificing way. So he's decided to argue the toss about whether or not air is atmo being air, saying the air is not the atmosphere. But
yeah, you know what? We need to put together those 2 videos where he says, "I never said that," and then have it right behind the second law doesn't apply to the Earth.
Yeah,
I would never say such a thing.
I'm going to do that.
Literally
his
response.
I'm going to do that today. We could do that in voice meter, right?
No, not at all.
What do you mean?
I don't think. Well, I suppose you could use the little tape recorder on voice meter, but I've never used it before. Anyway, we'll talk shop afterwards. Yes, I'm sure we'll figure a way. If not, somebody else, because typically when these things get discussed on the show, someone in the audience goes, "Oh yeah, I could do that in 3 minutes with my Slick editing app," and then you see it pop up on someone else's channel. So, give it a day. Someone else might do it for you.
No. You need the Illudium Q36 explosive space modulator. I got that.
Fair enough. I've got the flux capacitor. You've got the space modulator. Together we can create the Big Bang.
But John, you make me so angry.
That's what I said. Well, come off mute and share your pain.
But I was going to say the point of that is that in a self-sacrificing kind of way, arguing about how stupid he is in regards to his misapprehensions of the etymology of the word atmosphere is far less detrimental than him actually arguing about a very interesting detail that he got through, which was to say, I don't know what the volume of the atmosphere was. That was his declaration. Well, I'd be interested to know why he doesn't know such a detail, considering how much we've spent talking about volume recently. So that was an interesting little declaration that he didn't know the volume. That's interesting. But that would be a very... Go on.
Well, if you take the sand off the beach, right? The sand you have isn't the beach.
Yeah, or get asked for a definition of etymology and then start talking about inflammable versus flammable and the varying definitions of inflammable. And it's like, well, that's not detailing the etymology that would detail you to be stupid, but you want to drag out us calling you stupid because that segues us away from the real point. That the gas in the volume he doesn't know would fill that volume that he doesn't know and declared yesterday. But that would be the point that would be devastating to argue about, so his declaration in his opening statement was that he doesn't know the volume, because he doesn't want to argue about the devastating points. He just would prefer that we made him look stupid, because that's not very damaging to his religion of a ball in a vacuum. And that's what we want to talk about. The gas on, not in, on his reification of a ball in a vacuum would fill the available volume that he doesn't know for some reason, and needs to declare that he doesn't know the volume, even though at that stage we weren't asking about volume. But he needs to get in early that he's not going to discuss the devastating bits, i.e. the volume he doesn't have, with a gas pressure next to a vacuum that definitely, this is argued about earlier, has a volume that they arbitrarily assign to it that's vast. Shout out to David Rakia Gafford. Danny D wants to come off mute and share his pain. Call him out, Rakia Life. Feel free, Danny D, if you're in the panel. I can't see you in here, but if you want to join, there's a link in the info box below this video. I'll pop you off mute as soon as you join the panel. Feel free. All are welcome.
You couldn't get to all those subjects with Rumpus because he's continuous ADHD diarrhea of the mouth, over talking everyone. It would take at least 4 or 5 hours to get to that point. And just to let you know, Rumpus, you retarded clown, I've heard a lot of stories about some new people that were watching that show yesterday and observed and listened to your behavior. And we're like, what in the world is this? So thank you. Please continue.
That's interesting. I've said this a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. In that regard, the tactical regard, not the argument regard, the tactical regard, the tables have also turned on the fundies in that regard also. So it's no longer the case that by going bobbity, 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 and you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot 50 million times, where that used to cut the conversation down, stop the devastating point being nicely, concisely put forth to an audience, it's now just very telling that they can't defeat any of the arguments that are being put to them, and they have to obfuscate the point. So it's no longer working in their favour, it's working to their detriment. And as you've just said, people are watching going, what the hell? Why would you need to dance around this and obfuscate this and bring it onto a non-important topic when there's clearly issues of space vacuums being discussed? You know, why would you need to rumpus a definition of etymology, for instance? Well, it's because that's far less devastating to their religion. So keep it on rumpusing and talking about non-points for as long as humanly possible, and stop the airwaves being filled up with conversations like this, where we say, the sky's not a vacuum, because if it was, the gas we're breathing would fill that volume instantaneously. Ergo, space is fake.
No, the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth, Nathan.
Yeah, it does.
Go ahead, play that again when you get a chance. It's in Master B. I just stuck it in there.
The natural law. It will always apply.
Where have you got me on record saying that entropy doesn't apply to the Earth? I'd never say such a thing.
Monday.com is a team management tool.
I would never say such a thing. Yeah, you would.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. He would never say such a thing, right? Play that one.
The second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the Earth.
Right, let's get these lined up. Give me a second.
Hit the next one.
The second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the Earth in the sense because we're getting a lot of energy input into it. Where have you got me on record saying that entropy doesn't apply to the Earth? I'd never say such a thing.
Absolutely brilliant.
Again.
Hold on a second, Nathan. Oh, wait a second. Play the second one.
I'll play them both.
Where have you got me on record saying that entropy doesn't apply to the Earth? I'd never say such a thing.
No, you got him wrong.
The second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the Earth in the sense because we're getting a lot of energy input into us.
Say that once more.
We need to get this together, man.
Where have you got me on record saying that entropy doesn't apply to the Earth? I'd never say such a thing. Where have you got me on record saying that entropy doesn't apply to the Earth? I'd never say such a thing.
Yeah.
The second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the Earth.
Oh, for God's sake!
Because we're getting a lot of energy input into it.
Jesus wept.
Why are you watching videos when you could be playing League?
Try that again. Hopefully, Paul. I'm gonna stick them all on mute because I can't trust them. Let's try that once more. We'll get it in order. I promise. We will do this, audience. Bear with me. It's as painful as it gets.
Saying that entropy doesn't apply to the Earth. I'd never say such a thing. The second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the Earth in the sense because we're getting a lot of energy input into us, and if you have.
There we go. Finally got it all concise.
I'm sorry.
That's
but
okay.
Good old Albert's only. He said entropy isn't the same thing as second law. Entropy only applies to all systems, but the second law only applies to isolated ones.
Wow. There you go.
Just
that
idiots.
Bullshit.
Just idiots.
Coming straight from Albert Einstein himself.
So the second law doesn't have anything to do with entropy, right? The second law of thermodynamics state that the total entropy clowns.
So Wiki is his alma mater. He's telling me to quote. He's telling me to read Wiki. Come on, Wiki, lovely.
Why? Join the show if you want to read out some citation from Wiki, and join and read it out, so we can pummel it. Don't get us reading out your nonsense that you're communicating via a DM to Paul. What the hell? There's a link to join the show. Second law of thermodynamics is describing entropy. To assert that it's nothing to do with entropy is just codswallop.
It's not codswallop, it's insanity.
I've been told it only applies to isolated systems because that's what it says in the wiki.
There are no isolated systems in nature.
Exactly. But that's exactly why they say so. Then it doesn't apply to the Earth, right? Because we don't live in an isolated system, so second law doesn't apply. That's the talking point now.
Yeah, because they'd like to assert that a scientific law has absolutely no validity because it's been simplified enough to explain it to your average Joe with things like isolated systems. They'd also argue the same about what, gas law? Because you've got no ideal gases? Well, no, it's a simplification to explain a natural law that applies always. Ugh, these people are idiots.
Yep, they should be institutionalized, man. They're clinical level Dunning-Kruger pretender clown muppets. That's all they are. That's it. All they do is parrot Wiki or Discovery Channel. That's it. They have no depth. Nothing. Zero. Less than zero. Just scratch underneath the surface and it all falls apart because all they're doing is mindlessly parroting pseudoscience priests. That's it. And we're calling your bluff. All in. Flip over that Deuce 7 offsuit, crayon munchers.
But correct me if I'm wrong, that was originally what Rumpus claimed he wanted to discuss when he first entered. He was saying, oh, you guys think that you don't understand the second law of thermodynamics. That was like his opening gambit, right?
Yes.
So why is it that we didn't get to discuss that?
Well, because he rumpus the damn hangout.
Sure. Okay, why would you assert, why would it be the case that you'd need to rumpus that discussion rather than just demonstrate that natural laws apply to your fundamentalist religious belief about a sky vacuum with a spherical earth in it? Surely that's I'm trying to reiterate my point from earlier, which is that this is becoming telling. The audience isn't, so new to this subject that they don't recognise when somebody who's in a position to just justify their version of our reality within the confines of natural law and physics, and they choose to obfuscate. That's not going to be helping them anymore. It's just going to hinder them as time progresses, and it's getting worse and worse. For them. The fundies who believe they're on a globe.
He was more interested in showing how you use this mute button and censorship. So he comes on and he diarrheas of the mouth so no one can hear anything in the hangout. So you can mute him so he can show that you use the mute button. That's what the whole game is, right? They're reduced to this nonsensical tomfoolery second grade playground shit. That's what they're it's a belly laugher. People are seeing it too. Just keep doing it, baltards. Thanks. You're doing our work for us.
Yeah, it's essentially just a very sloppy ad hominem fallacy. So instead of addressing, say, an argument about gas dispersing into the available volume as per gas law, they would assert that the show's not being run fairly. What is this, a YouTube issue? Right to YouTube. So you don't like it when I shut down a particular line that's got complete chaos on it, and you think that your chaos should be heard so that people don't get to hear a discussion about gas pressure filling a sky vacuum belief that people have if they believe they're on a sphere? Yeah. I would say that the much more critical issue is how the show's produced, rather than the very damning issue of your fundy sky vacuum being pummeled on a daily basis. Yeah. I'd say make endless videos about you proving that I've got a mute button, like every single producer of every show ever, if they want to retain control of their show, would necessitate to stop the guests taking over the show. Yeah, the nutters aren't going to be running this asylum, I'm afraid, Rumpus. If your game is to prove that I can control my show, then go ahead. Prove that I have control. I do. Yeah, I've been doing this for several years now. But that doesn't really address the problem of the sky vacuum now, does it? I noticed Jose was doing the same thing, talking about muting people. I've got so many when I cared about Jose, I don't. I've unsubscribed and have lost all interest in him. But when I had endless examples of him telling his entire panel that he's going to mute them and then overtly muting them. Endless examples of him telling the chat that he's about to mute the panel. So, hypocrites. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to criticise you for that unless you're challenging people on producing a show and keeping it in order, which is an absolute necessity. But as I keep saying, that's not what we're discussing when you come here. This isn't what debate, a show discussing the intricacies of how debate shows are managed. No, we're discussing the heliocentric model and how you can't have gas pressure without a container, about how you have no evidence of curvature, just hijacking perspective. That's what we talk about. But what's it you're interested in talking about how the show's produced? Oh, there's a million of them. No one gives two shits about how the show's produced, except the fundies who can't answer questions about how their religion works and can't prove they've got a sky vacuum. They're very keen to talk to the audience about how I produced the show, Because, yeah, that's really important in the big scheme of life now, isn't it? How Nathan Oakley 1980 shows produced. Did I just say shoe? Yeah, my bad.
Did you witness?
And also,
did you witness his nonsensical, absolute sentence gibberish in the Skype chat?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Oh, in the global debate, he was calling you out because he wants to be on the thousandth show. You in there, man? What a wreck! He called himself like times. Identify as you, and it's in global debate. Check it out.
I think I did. I thought you were talking about Rumpus. You mean Jose? Yes, I did see that. Yeah, he can join though. The show's open. He can come in via the Discord panel. What he's basically saying is he's not very happy that I've not allowed him to receive the Hangout link. That's what he's moaning about. Well, yeah, I'd only give that now that the Hangout's on air with all of its nice precautions have been taken away. I'm only going to give that to people I trust. When you come in and overtly surreptitiously record me and then release my Hangout stream key to your audience, Jose, obviously I'm never going to trust you again. You're a piece of shit. I'd stop caring. It's just because you're being discussed on the show that I'm entertaining even talking about you, because I've lost all interest. Like I say, I've unsubscribed and you're no longer in any of the groups that remove the link. But you are welcome to join. All are welcome. You can join via the Discord link, as can anybody. Like George Netanyahu. Do you think I want him here? Not really. I've got no desires in George's direction, but he's keen to talk to me now, isn't he? That's why he came here. Just like anybody can come here if they're keen to challenge me. I see endless bullshit about fair platforms like I give two fucks. I don't. But anybody who has ambitions in my direction, and there's plenty of you, let's be honest, you have a route to express those views. Now, if you want to come here and moan about the fact that we demolish your point and don't let you obfuscate away from it by talking incessantly in the Hangout, well, then you can moan about that rather than addressing things like the lack of Coriolis deviation, the lack of any scientific evidence of gravity, the lack of any demonstration that you can have gas pressure without a container. The things we discuss, the debating points on the table. You can come here and moan about mute buttons, because that's going to win your point about a sky vacuum now, isn't it? Or demonstrate to the audience just how shite you are at arguing for a fundamentalist religious sky vacuum belief with a presupposed spherical Earth floating around in it. It's nonsense. That's what we argue and we win. You don't, because you can only moan about show production and various other nonsensical side issues that aren't related to the topics. Very telling. Keep it up. Make endless shows about how I produce this show, rather than debating the actual points, because that's going to really win your audience over.
Yeah, it's like them walking into a meeting room with a friggin' machine gun and then complaining about getting subdued. You friggin' idiots! What do you think people are going to do? Unbelievable.
John, but you called it perfectly, because this is literally what Rumpus said he was here to do yesterday. After Nathan left and me, Arwen, and Riley was just stayed there, he literally admitted to that. Like, that's he wants to make people see that Nathan will mute him.
I know what he was saying. I know what those crayon munchers are up to, man. I know it. It's laughingly obvious.
So if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley, then this is where we bid you farewell. I think there was actually a few other super chats, so I'll do a few shout outs to those of you who did smash the super chat in that discussion. So shout out to Agent Dubsky, still the best $5 I'll ever spend all day. Thank you very much for the super chat. And also Colin Turner, you're the bloody business, Nathan. Oh, thank you very much, Colin Turner. Really do appreciate the super chat. So as I say, stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream. A massive thank you to all of you who did smash the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all of that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Okay.
Just managed to catch the end of that screaming.
It's funny how Eleanor doesn't scream on the show anymore, but now we got Lily.
No, she does. She's screaming right now. Can you not hear that in the background? I've just got my mic set up in such a way that you can't hear her, but she absolutely screams for the majority of most shows. You just don't hear it.
These kids are growing up hearing all the baltards. They have plenty to scream about.
So I didn't actually, because there was too limited a time to get into the conversation. So you're saying Rumpus joined to demonstrate that I can mute guests who are disruptive?
Well, I thought that was painfully obvious, and apparently Chocolate said he admitted to doing that exact same thing. He didn't have to. It's painfully evident.
So this is the same guy who keeps saying he's 99% done on his representation of a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena holographic projection of the north end of the Isle of Man from the belly of Anthony Riley at the beach at St. Bees. But he's got enough time to come here rather than addressing any arguments, although he came in and it seemed at face value, based on what he said, that he was here to discuss the second law of thermodynamics, was actually on a mission of great significance and importance to expose the production of the show. Because that's critical detail in terms of this arguing about Earth and its nature. He thinks that's a seriously important issue. What about this 99.9% slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena holographic projection at the north end of the Isle of Man, Rumpus? Is that still 99.9% done? But this is, what, much more important to get done right now, of urgent issue for the audience. Stay tuned to the Rumpus channel. You might see some exposés on the production of Flat Earth debate, rather than him actually addressing some of the points we raise here and have done for the last 2 years. Yeah, that seems interesting. Why would they want to focus on the production of the show rather than the points raised?
Because they think, because they just say it, Nathan mutes me, Nathan does this, Nathan does that, that's the incoherent get out of jail free card, right? That think that covers them from being able to stand up and defend their fairy tale horse shit, when in fact all it is a tell, right, of incoherent second graders without position and coherent argument. Thank you very much. Please continue, clowns.
The amount of times I enter into debate with people like George. Oh, go on, sorry.
I just said you ran him out when you asked him for cowbell a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he's been delaying his 99% completed project since then.
Yeah, it's been well over a year.
Maybe they're all trying to make a comeback for like the 1000th show. Because I mean, same show, George and Rumpus show up. Maybe they're trying to rally a comeback for 1000.
Sloppy ad hoc. They just want to attack me and the production of the show rather than the points we make. And like Quantum Eraser says, it's a tell. It's not going unnoticed.
Did you guys bring Rumpus to task on his project last time he was here, or did the Rumpus scene just ensue immediately?
Just pretty much ensued immediately as soon as we started getting down to a few questions about air. As that's
Isn't that a shame?
Humiliating for him. But people like George Netanyahu especially, I enter into discussions with them in the chat comments. I quickly take them to pieces and then they ignore everything I say or repeat the same crap verbatim in a circle. And there's no mute button to be had in chats, as I frequently point out to these fundies. I'm here right now, we are debating. This is a debate in the comments section where I'm handing you my ass. Handing you your own ass. You can have my ass too if you want it. But yeah. My point is that normally those conversations end with me asking how my balls taste. A reference to being shot in the face in a video game, and then when they go up to the character that's just been killed and they teabag them. So I ask that with that reference in mind.
Probably salty.
Yeah, are they salty? Precisely. And normally it's ignored because they've been obliterated and they've got no comeback. Or they can try and segue away in a different subject or attack me personally. That's all they ever do. But I frequently enter into discussions with these people in comment sections and in chat forums more often than not on the live streams. And do they win there? No, of course not. They have their ass handed to them just as quickly. In fact, it's easier because they can't rumpus you. And I can point out in text that's now nicely permanently attached to the side of whatever show it's streamed on live that you haven't answered my question. You've segued away. Here's the logical fallacy you used. Now you're ignoring me. How do my balls taste? And rumpusing doesn't work in the chat threads. I normally rub that in their face too. No mute button here, is there, Fundy? Just me handing you your ass.
You got the winning arguments.
They don't understand, right? You don't use the mute button. If you did, if somebody came in with a legitimate argument and you muted them in front of your audience, your subscribers would unsubscribe. People, duh. I would. If I turned on a show and there was a legitimate argument and the opponent who had control of any mute button or whatever muted them, I'd turn it off. It'd be over. Nathan would be finished. You wouldn't have a show.
Yeah,
duh.
It's not how it goes down. So in the case of an example yesterday would be George Netanyahu. He comes in, he asserts we have photos. I ask who we are. And he tells us that we is the governments who control us. And when I point out that we, the people on the panel, not one of us has any of these images that he claims we have, and that I don't want to hear about photos you don't have, he immediately tells you about photos you don't have and then starts swearing because apparently I'm over-talking him at that point, when he's essentially ignored all rebuttal. No, I don't want to hear about the photos you don't have that you're trusting from a secondary party. That's essentially what I've said in a slightly more concise way. He's chosen to ignore it and gone, I'm going to assert the ones that the governments give us on TV. They're public domain, whether you like it or not. Now shut the fuck up. That's essentially what he did. Now, is anybody in that scenario, when I'm being told to shut the fuck up, for pointing out that we, when I'm asking specifically everyone else on the panel to offer their opinion about their possession of these snapshots from 2 presupposed Earth diameters away, something else he didn't address, in the second law of thermodynamics violation known as outer space, again, something he didn't address. If at that point when he's telling me to shut the fuck up, when he's rumpusing me, ignoring my points and not addressing any of my rebuttals, is anybody going to think, oh, he's being unreasonable for not letting this guy continue to hijack the show and talk incessantly and swear? No, of course not. So at that point, you go, well, I'm not going to tolerate this. This is my show. I can't allow you to suddenly take control of my show and the airwaves I produce. Same goes for Rumpus. What's he going to do? Produce it by recording it at his end and say, look, I'm talking non-stop, and they're not allowing me to. Oh, yeah, that's going to go over. I'm pretty sure that's what Jose's game was too. Jose just wanted to come here to show that I can control my show. Now, I overtly stated, right, let's shut him up. Then I closed down the line and pointed out what he was doing, rumpusing. Right, well, yeah, on my show, if you're going to try and basically use the Fundy Globehead mute button, which is talk non-stop and control all lines by keeping yours open permanently, well, that's essentially taking over the show and the airwaves I produce, which I can't allow that. Nobody's going to allow that. Do you think there's TV studios out there that let the guests completely take over the show? No, absolutely absurd. But they want to moan about it in the face of actual challenge to their religion that's on the table and unaddressed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. It is a carnival tent clown show. That's what this is.
Not to mention,
I'm
you've been
embarrassed
cordial
for
to that
them.
man.
Sorry, Righteous, go on.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, it was someone else in the Discord server.
Oh, it was me, Travis. I my Discord's cutting in and out, so I thought I was kind of chiming in on John there. I was just saying, you've been so cordial to that man, Jose, and he's honestly just shit right in your face, man. And the guy gets Jaren's old camera, and then he flip-flops. It just blows my mind, dude. Especially when the arguments are getting honed more and more and more right as he's leaving. It's like, I swear that guy's paid.
Paid for what? He can't even breathe on his own.
Oh, paid by whoever has got money on the baller side, obviously.
Nah,
It's
he
just
ain't getting paid.
it's out of the world.
No one would pay that fruitcake for crying out loud. I mean, he needs to get on his knees and pray ceaselessly to the rock, pond, whatever, for the autonomic nervous system. Because if he had to think to breathe, he'd be in big trouble.
Aye.
I'm good with all this though. You know, fine. Address your attacks at the production of the show. That's wonderful. Yeah. Make me loads of adverts.
Maybe he's feeling nostalgic too. Maybe that's why he wants to be let on the thousandth show. Maybe, or maybe he wants to come on here and destroy you, Nathan. I mean, maybe that's what it is.
Destroy me by exposing the production.
Could be.
I mean, the 1000th to me is just another number. It'll just go out like any other show, but it's more around this time when we're at this point in the debate where we've reached this kind of level of, I don't want to use the word numbers, but just the sheer quantity of debate that's taken place. Well, it doesn't matter if it only reached 999 and never actually reached. It wouldn't matter. We've, like you said, Chocolate. The arguments have been so honed, and to the point where we can even have them as a side back burner issue, whatever, while we're pointing out the farcical nature of their rebuttal. In this instance, attacking a YouTuber's production quality over and above the argument of a fundy sky vacuum and a presupposed sphere. A tell. And that in itself is where the audience is also at, given that there's been so many shows that have gone by. They're also recognising this stuff and laughing about it. You see some of the hooks for old crappy arguments that go by without any rebuttal whatsoever, because people have just lost interest in it. The crappy old arguments aren't worth addressing anymore, because most people are so acutely aware of the rebuttal. Why bother dealing with some old fundy that's either too new to the argument to even appreciate that it's been addressed so many times it's not worth even talking about, or it's an old fundy who's so stuck in his zealotry that he's going to assert it 50 more times in the face of anything you say to him anyway, or her. So, in that instance, you see it in the comments. People are far more apathetic to the nonsense arguments than they were, and are focusing in on the tells when these things like the sky vacuum aren't getting addressed. And we're talking about the semantics of atmosphere and the etymology. No, that's not really relevant when we're talking about the volume you say you don't know about. But we can't get to that stage in the argument with people like Rumpus and George, because it's always going to end in a loss. So they're going to only do what they've ever done, use the same obfuscation techniques. The rules haven't changed, their tactics haven't improved, their arguments didn't win in the first place. So where are we at? We're into attacking the one in, how many million YouTubers are there? Well, they're going to change the world, isn't it, George? Yeah, right. Talk about Nathan Oakley 1980s channel and how it's produced, because, that's going to change the fact that you can't have gas pressure without a container. Well done.
Yeah, and the ones who try in the chat, I mean, the audience, I gotta give a shout out to the audience, because the few ballers that do try in the chats, they just fail miserably. Like, this audience it's too good for them. They have no arguments, and I think some of these ballers haven't really realized that yet. So yeah, it's pretty funny watching these guys get cut to shreds in the chat after maybe 2 comments. So big shout out to this audience. Everybody listening. It's awesome. Keep doing it.
Did you see the chat earlier where I can't remember the guy's name now, but he was saying that I didn't know anything about fluid dynamics, but he thinks fluid dynamics could stick to a ball.
Nah, I didn't see that.
Well,
I've
so he's
got
talking
one.
about.
Here, how about?
Hang on. So he's talking about the horizon proving the curve. Well, I live near the ocean. When I go there and I see it, it doesn't prove a curve. Water doesn't curve. I just see as far as I can see, and it's the apparent horizon. But somehow these ballers think that is the curve, even though there is no curve. And then we went on to water and how water behaves. And he said, I don't know anything about water. So this guy obviously thinks water bends on the ball. That's how stupid it gets.
Somebody would actually
Maybe
say
they
they
could.
don't know anything about water. Like, okay.
Well, this is Mick West's own settings to get it to do what it's supposed to do. Can they show us how a spinning atmosphere stays with all this particle bouncing and moving, and how they move in lock and step? And then also, if the planet is also moving in a direction, like maybe left to right, and how the particles on the back end stay, and how the ones are going to be pushed around, and all that fun stuff. Could they walk us through that?
Yeah. Wouldn't there be a tail of some sort, like a comet, if we're moving around in the sun at 66,600 miles per hour, but have all this atmosphere just trailing off into the vacuum of space? But wouldn't
That's what you think.
the backside of the Earth the gravity would have to compensate even more to hold on to the atmosphere since it's moving away from it?
It would have to fluctuate during times of the day. It would have to fluctuate during times of the orbit. It would have to fluctuate, be stronger sometimes, weaker in other times.
Right.
Sorry, Tim. Didn't mean to beg the question.
No, I mean, this is a model. This is a model the guy made. It doesn't prove anything. We took the first 20 minutes of the show talking about something that's not real.
So I got bored last night, typed in the scientific method in YouTube. The results were laughable, gentlemen. I'm going to find this video and share it with you. It'll probably make QE have a stroke, so be careful when you watch it, QE.
Was the first step ask a question?
Ask a question or find a problem. Oh, yeah. I watched like 4 of them.
No, I think the first one was observe a shoe.
So that was bad. I watched an hour lecture.
That's a Brenda
University of
exclusive.
Toronto.
Can we do it then?
It's all sorts of globe Earth flat Earth stuff in it too.
Let's start this method then, right? So we're gonna science. Ooh. Am I gonna have roast chicken tonight? That's my question. What's next?
I knew you were gonna go to the roast chicken.
Hold on. That's step 1. Ask a question, right? Am I gonna have roast chicken
What
dinner?
is question?
What's the next step?
That's a what is question.
You didn't clarify anything about being what is. You said ask
What
a
is for
question.
dinner?
Step 1, ask a question.
I think the independent variable, Nathan, would be next. Are you going to go to the grocery store or not? If you don't go to the grocery store, then you're not having roast chicken. But if you go to the grocery store, you got to make sure you pick up a chicken. Then you will have roast chicken.
This is just a question in logic about whether or not I'll have a dinner. How is this scientific? Silence.
I know. I'm just trying to give you an independent variable in that mix.
Are you growing potatoes? Are you growing potatoes?
No, I live in an apartment.
Okay, are you growing potatoes on Mars though? Because Matt Damon signs the you know what out of that.
Did he? Did he ask a question about whether or not he wanted potatoes on Mars, and then he went from there, right?
I think he had no choice. He only had like human waste, and the potatoes were the only thing that survived from the dust storm. It's amazing how they tie all those elements all together: the dust storm and the potatoes and the So he did science in Mars with potatoes, and he ate the potatoes. No roast chicken though.
It could equally be substituted for roast potatoes. This isn't science. This is agriculture.
Maybe you could try to find out the cause of how your roast chicken gets cooked.
They went to potatoes because when they tried chicken, it fouled up a lot.
Boom, boom.
So I come back and you're talking about potatoes? What in the world?
Because it's breakfast time, John.
It's coming. It's yeah. That I just placed my order.
Place your order. You don't cook your own breakfast, bro.
A lot of times I do, but recently I've been really busy, so I'm placing my order.
I gotcha.
That's the fringe benefits of being married.
How you can just place orders.
Who are you talking to?
What?
Who are you talking to?
I'm trying to figure out who QE is talking to.
I was talking to Chuck.
me.
Oh.
Did you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me?
No. There's no glow proof going on, so we talk about breakfast. Why not?
Gonna put an order in for breakfast.
That's right. Today is scrambled eggs, bacon, toast, and chocolate milk. Well, a little bit of chocolate milk, and it's like 3/4 white milk and 1/4 chocolate milk, and you put it in the freezer for about 5 minutes, man. Just get, some ice crystals in there. Oh, yeah. That'll get it. Get some.
Ice crystals in 5 minutes.
Yeah, my freezer's pretty cold.
So the second law doesn't affect that freezer too much, huh? All that work being done.
Is your freezer an isolated system, John?
My house is an isolated system. Nathan, we're going to talk real quick after the show. Is it already over?
Oh, if it wasn't enough dead air and show almost being killed already.
Let's talk a little shot for a few minutes.
That's my cue, isn't it? That's my cue to round out the after show. Okay.
Get out.
Well, there's I count the amount of dead airs there are before I think this is probably going to be my opportunity to round out.
Well, if 10th would stop being triggered, we might get a decent after show.
Calm down, 10th. What have I told you?
Well, when it goes to roast chicken and scrambled eggs, what does that tell you?
There's got to be something new. I really like the pseudo McWestian 2 space.
What a joke. Show us space-time bending. And with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!